Hey everyone, it's good to be seen. I guess I'm not seeing you right now. We've got some good news that came out this week from the Trump administration. The administration is giving guidance on how we might be able to get back together and that we should be getting back together. The administration said that it's time for churches to reopen. There was Governor Newsom's address on the radio this week. I believe it was Friday. He said they had been working on guidance on how California churches would open up, and they would be releasing that tomorrow on Monday. So we have some really good news about how we might be able to begin worshiping together again, seeing one another, although probably a little bit different. We'll probably have to regard some social distancing and not be back in the full swing of things. We'll have another video before we get together as to what's to be expected in our gatherings, how we'll be setting up, how we'll be doing things differently, at least for the time being until we know what is going to happen with this COVID-19 virus and if there's any spikes after we begin getting back out into public. We don't have any dates yet. Hope to be getting some of those soon. We don't know when the school is going to open up for us. I'll be on a Zoom call this week with other pastors in our area, because if the school doesn't choose to let us in and the other churches open up, there's a potential that we might meet at one of the other churches at an off time until the school will allow us to be back in the auditorium. We just don't know. We haven't heard when the school is going to be allowing us to meet back there again, and we don't want to wait any longer than we have to. We would like to get back together. There's also the option that we might be right here in my backyard and in the driveway and potentially in the house, seeing how we might be able to have our group gather here in my home. So all those are options. We want you guys to stay up to date. So keep looking on YouTube and watching the videos, because we'll be giving out information that way. We'll also, I'm sure, send out email and text message. You guys will get phone calls and all of that to let you know, hey, we are opening up church again. We are going to begin meeting together in person again. We will find out the guidance this week on gatherings. So as we find out more news on that and when we have a concrete date when we can meet together, we will definitely be getting that information to you and give you a little bit of time so you can make a decision on your own as to whether you want to be part of that gathering right off the bat or if you want to hold out for a couple of weeks. We will do all that we can to make our gathering safe. We don't want anybody getting sick. We don't want anybody dying, but it looks like we have done a lot to kind of get this under control, and it looks like there's positive news around the country from people who are getting out in the open. I've been out in our community, and there's a lot more people out. Numbers are not spiking or even really going up that much, even with the robust testing that we're doing. So it looks like there's good news on the horizon for this summer, potentially. So we want to be praying that way. We want to be thinking that way for our own safety, for our neighbor's safety, for our friends' safety, for our loved ones' safety. We want to make wise decisions as believers. But we know that the Bible encourages believers to be together so that we can encourage one another and support one another. So we want to make sure we're doing all that we should be doing as a community of faith, so that we can be as connected as we need to be on mission for the gospel. Now, I've been on Facebook. I don't live under a rock, and I've seen all the debate around should we go out? Should we wear masks? Should we wear gloves? Should we touch one another? There's all these questions surrounding how we should interact when we again can interact with one another. And there are different ideas about what is safe and what is not safe, and we all have our own personal ideas of what our tolerances are for. So I want to speak about that today, about what should be done in these situations. How it's one of the greatest concerns that we as pastors have, because there are people in our congregations that are in different stages of life that have different risk tolerances, that have different risks because of their own immune system or diseases that they've had or life decisions that they've made. So we want to be cognizant of all of that, but also we know that we cannot shut down and not meet forever. So there have to be concessions made, and I want to speak about that because I saw an interesting post from a pastor friend of mine, and I'll put it up on the screen right here over my face as I'm speaking. But there's all these bubbles of the directions that a pastor is being pulled in based on the coronavirus. So hopefully you can read these on the screen. If not, you can probably Google search the image and find out what those say. But needless to say, that in any given church, there are a lot of directions that people are trying to pull or lead the leadership. And we are trying to do the best that we possibly can for everyone in our community, and then leave those decisions on how people choose to engage up to them, because we believe that you will make the best decisions for yourself as we get back together. So I want to speak about that today. I have two things to say. Those of us that do not have pre-existing conditions and are not vitally concerned with the virus are going to begin worshiping together. Those that have existing conditions and are older in age will continue to attend online, likely. What I'm saying here is that we, as a population, not only in church, are going to begin getting out there again and interacting. I imagine in the next 3 to 5 months, you'll see hugging and handshaking, things that were unheard of and unthought of just a couple of weeks ago. We are going to be getting out there and doing those things again, living as humans on this planet called Earth. And I want to say this is okay. You don't have to engage that way. But if you choose to engage that way, we realize that each individual is going to take risk into their own life and for their own lives based on what they believe the other person, and I want us to make sure we're regarding the other person, to just go around grabbing people and hugging them. You need to do some things that may seem strange or awkward. Is it okay if I give you a hug? Can we speak for a little while? Can we shake hands? If somebody doesn't reach out and shake your hand or give you a hug, don't be upset by that. And the second thing that I want to say is, I want to say that no matter what somebody does, the Christian response to each other is kindness and love. So what I was just saying is, if there are probably going to be moments where I have shaken hands with some person or I've hugged them in the past, and they may not be ready for that at this point. So we're going to, what I'm trying to say is I want us to not get our feelings hurt because somebody doesn't respond as though they did before. Because some people still have fears of contracting the virus. Some people are just going to be trying to be safe. Everybody's going to be trying to be safe, just on different levels. And as Christians, we are going to have to, and not only have to, but we should be desirous of honoring people's decisions on how they choose to live their life, on the decisions they choose to make. We don't know. For somebody like me, for instance, there are people who I interact with who are immune compromised. I am not. Thank God I'm a very healthy person. I rarely ever get sick. I don't know the last time I got sick. And to be sick for multiple days, it's been decades probably. I don't think I've been sick for multiple days in a long time, and that's just a blessing of my immune system. But the reality is that over the course of my job and as in pastoring, I meet with people who are immune compromised, and there may be things that I may not do in engaging with you, not for myself, but so that I don't potentially infect some other person whose immune system cannot handle the virus. So we all have to make those decisions, not only for our own personal, but I mean, if it was just me and and I wasn't going to interact with anybody else, I'd give you guys all hugs. I don't care. I would love to do that because I'm not personally worried about it, but I am personally worried about how I may infect others. And we're all going to be making those decisions based on, do we deliver food for our family? Are we caring for a sick or elderly person? Are we going to be able to be allowed into a hospital to see somebody who may be potentially really sick with cancer or dying or with a respiratory illness? And we don't want to be potentially infecting those people. So there's a lot of data that goes into the decision making that we're making, and we all need to be okay with that, and not even be okay with it, but have loving kindness for our brother and sister, for those of people in public, in life. We don't need to be getting upset with others because they choose to be a little distant, and or we choose to be distant. We shouldn't lose friends because of this, because we are all making decisions for the safety of the people in our families and our loved ones that we interact with, and we need to know this. So I wanted to read from the book of Philippians, chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. It says, imitating Christ's humility. It says this, therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any common sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness or compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and of one mind. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ. I want to share this again because it's so important as we have been locked up and there's all this emotion about getting back together, and I just want life to be back to the way it is, and it's going to be very easy to slip back into potentially situations that may be harmful or unsafe, or getting upset because you think you wanted that hug, you've looked forward to that hug from a certain individual, and they are not able to give you that hug at this point. Again, it says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. What the Scripture's teaching us, and the way that Jesus lived his life, is that we are supposed to be living our lives for the benefit of others, so that when they leave our presence, they feel better about themselves and better about God as a result of their interaction with us. They shouldn't be questioning, do they ever love me anyways? Do they just want something from me? It shouldn't be that way with us, especially as we're trying to live out the gospel in a difficult time like this. For outsiders. Outsiders are going to be watching us. One of the greatest concerns that we've had in this pastor relationship that I have with these other pastors is how are outsiders going to be viewing God's church and his kingdom in this time? Were we generous and compassionate and loving and kind and considerate? Or were we just selfish to be able to get back together and get back to the way things were, and then people got sick and ill and died? See, people are watching. Outsiders are going to be watching to see, because the media has made a big, it's not just the media, but in our world, it's been a big deal in the news about when can churches reopen? What are the rights of religious people to spend time together worshiping their God and being in community with one another? So outsiders are going to be looking, reporters are going to be looking to create fractures in what the church is all about. They're going to look for, and I'm not saying all of them, obviously, but there are going to be reports that this church is, this mega church or this little church is, they've thrown off all caution and they're spreading this coronavirus. So we want to be very considerate in humility toward the other, and not putting our own interests above others, but putting theirs first. And again, it says in verse 5, in our relationship with one another, have the same mindset as Jesus Christ. What does that mean? It means that we live our lives in such a way as to win others to the kingdom of God. That when they see us, they are attracted to the way that we live our lives, the way that we speak to one another, the way that we serve and care for one another, the way that we live our lives online on Facebook. That we want to attract people to this lifestyle of kingdom, this lifestyle of Jesus Christ, that we believe is better and can transform the human soul and bring peace and joy. And in a time like this is our time to shine. This is our time to be what the world isn't. This is our time to be a city on a hill, a light that cannot be covered. This is our time. We are on the precipice of opening back up and being able to show the world God's loving kindness and how we treat one another. And it's super important how we interact with one another, that we don't spread gossip about, oh, so-and-so, they're stupid because they think this or they think that, and man, it can't even, yeah, yada, yada, I don't even, the things that can be said. We don't need to be having those conversations. So I'm having this heartfelt conversation because I love all of you. I love all of you. And I know that all of your lives are different than each other. And I don't want to jeopardize any one of our lives by doing things rashly or prematurely. But we want to be safe, and we want to do things in a way that looks good to outsiders. We want to live in a way like Christ has lived. See, I've seen so much online about people accusing each other and guilting each other of the way that they're living, and we don't need to be about that. As believers, that shouldn't be a picture. It shouldn't be a characteristic of what God's church looks like. It's not glorifying to God. It's not glorifying to His kingdom. And it doesn't honor what Jesus Christ did for all human beings on the cross. As Christians, we shouldn't be accusing one another. We should be serving one another. We should be generous in decisions that one another is making. We should give the benefit of the doubt always in loving kindness. That's the way that we should be living. And that is attractive. That's attractive to people. As Christians, we shouldn't be condemning one another. We should be building relationships and, pardon me, in the kingdom of God. And this is what gets me. This is an opportunity for us to show so much love and compassion to people. This is an opportunity, a rare time, where I think our world is changing as a result of this. And maybe we get a chance to kind of rebrand ourselves, who we are, what we're about, and the way that we carry ourselves, and the things that we say, and the way we portray ourselves online, and the things that we get involved with and don't get involved with, is going to be part of that label of what is a Christian? Who is this Jesus? And I don't know about you, I think I do, but I know about me, I want to be the best possible representation of Jesus Christ that I can be. I want people to see me and see somebody so loving that they want to know this Jesus Christ that I live my life in service to. And I want that for each and every one of us. It's the reason that we have this community of faith. It's the reason that we struggle with our own selfish ambitions and we lay those down at the feet of the cross so that we can become more kind and servant-minded and loving towards outsiders and towards those who are inside the church. See, we already have enough condemnation from outsiders. People already think terrible things about God's church and His kingdom because honestly, we haven't represented Christ all that well. We really haven't. And we have enough condemnation from outsiders. We don't need to be shooting arrows inside the kingdom. We don't need to be throwing rocks inside our own house. It doesn't look good to outsiders. If you were to look into a glass house and see rocks being thrown, how much would you want to be, how interested would you be in entering that home? You wouldn't. We are drawn toward peace and not chaos. We want to move into situations. We're attracted to places that seem better for us. I mean, if you were going on a vacation and you pull up a picture of the hotel, and it's in the middle of a bustling city, and it looks like there's going to be ambulances driving by constantly, and it's not going to be peaceful. You want to go to that place, or the place that looks like it's on a little bit secluded on a beach? You want to go to a place that seems like, wow, that's going to be peaceful. And that's the image that we want people to see from the church, from the kingdom. This is how Christians treat one another. They treat each other differently than people in the world. The Bible says, and I say this all the time, you'll know them by how they love one another. You're going to know Christians by how they love one another, how they serve one another, how they honor one another in the decisions that they make. And that's the image that we want to portray as we're coming back together. So again, no judgment based on who's going to be coming to gatherings when we can finally gather, who's staying home for the time being because there are reasons, valid reasons for that. I'm not going to judge anybody, and I don't want any of us to judge each other. But I do have good news. It looks as though we are going to be able to see each other, to be in relationship with one another personally, not just from a distance on Zoom. So I'm super encouraged and I'm super excited about that. One thing that I want to say before we end this, I know we're super anxious to get back together, and it is a concern of mine. It's a concern of mine because I know human nature. The concern of mine is this, that there's a saying, let me see if I can get this right. In battle, there's always a battle plan until the first bullets start flying. And the meaning of that is we can all have plans when we go into something, but as soon as we get into it, it changes on the fly. And one of my greatest concerns is that we may put in these rules in place to keep us safe, and that human nature is going to take over. We're just going to be so overwhelmed by being around our friends again that we will do things that are unsafe. That we might have a plan in getting together, but then it's just going to look like the plan crumbled and fell apart because we didn't hold to a standard. So I want you to think about that, about how you'll interact. I want you to think about how you'll observe safe practices when we get back together, because it's going to be different. It's going to be hard to not just reach your arms out and wrap them around somebody's neck and hold them. It's going to be hard not to be in somebody's space talking for long periods of time. And there are going to be things, and we'll know more this next week, about how we can be together and what is going to be considered safe in groups of 10 or 25 or 50 or 100. The seating arrangement may look different, and you may be like, oh, I want to sit by somebody, and yet the seats are a little far apart. Like, why are they not close together like they were before? And you may have that desire to just pull your seat over. And I want to ask, as we get together, that you would observe the rules that we're trying to observe for the safety of our whole community. It is the concern of mine, and one of the greatest concerns is with the children. That we've had ideas of, oh, we could get adults together, we could get them to social distance, likely. But how do you put kids together and make them social distance? They don't understand in those ways. They're going to run and hug their friends because they miss them, and they want to play because they always want to play, and it's going to be difficult, and we're going to have to do our best. So again, let's be praying about these things and thinking about these things. Now, I know this isn't a typical message. It's very practical for the time that we're in. We'll be coming in together, hopefully in person. I'm trying to figure out our teaching going forward. Should I just do a couple of one-off messages should we start a new series before we start in live, or I don't know, we'll get that figured out. So I know this is a very practical teaching, so stay tuned. Hopefully our next message will be together in person. I don't know that that's likely. But in the next couple of weeks, I hope we'll be able to be together either here in my backyard or in another church building, or potentially even in the school, our church home. So be praying about those things. Believe in those things. Pray about how you'll interact when we're together, how we will have to hold our tongue, how we'll get to encourage people in what they're doing and how they're choosing to live their life. And hopefully we will be a great reflection to our community about the love of Jesus Christ and what he wants to do in each and every one of our lives. So I want to leave you guys with this. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and be gracious to you in these days. And may the Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace in these troubled times. Church, I love you. I want to be back together so much. And I know we're going to miss some of you at first, and that's okay. You can continue to watch. We'll continue to put our videos online. But we look forward to seeing all of you and interacting in ways that are safe for all of us. So be prayerful. Be excited about what is to come, about this new season in our church and in our community. And we will look forward and anticipate the amazing things that God is going to do in and through our lives as we honor him with our words and with our deeds. I love you guys. I'll see you soon.